Hi guys, this is oops, decided to change it around. This is week 6. This is the second part of our notes. This is the word problem. So hopefully you guys have just done the ed puzzle on systems of equation word problems with elimination. This one is going to be a different one. This one is substitution. But we're going to set it up doing the same thing. So Finest Cooks offers a membership to take cooking classes for an initial fee of $60 plus $20 for each lesson. So whenever you have the word each, every, per, that's your X value, okay? That is always going to be your X value. The initial fee is like if you go to a gym membership, the enrollment fee, you have to pay an initial fee, then you pay for each month. That's the same thing as what we're doing here. So for Finest Cooks, we're going to write the equation. So Y, and I'm going to put an F here just so I know it's Finest Cooks. So our initial fee is $60. You have to pay that $60. Then you are paying $20 for each lesson that you take. Okay. Now, Professional Cooks is offering the same kind of a membership, but initial fee of $15 plus the $35 for each lesson. See if you can write that equation. And we get Y. I'm going to put a little p so I know it's Professional Cooks. So we have to pay $15 plus the $35 for each lesson. So we have our two equations. So we're going to then graph it. So we're going to graph it, and we want to label each axis. So the bottom left axis is our x's, and if you remember, x's are lesson. So these are our lessons. And if this is lessons, the y value has to be our total cost. And we're going to write that there. Now, normally we could easily graph an equation. So if we're talking about the first one, we could graph it at 60, then go up 20 to the right one. But 35, and the other one we'd go up 35 over 1, but that makes it a little bit difficult when we don't have numbers here. So what we're going to do is make an X and Y table, okay? We're going to make an X and Y table, and I'm going to do Finest in purple. So I'm going to go my X and a Y, and I'm just going to do a table for just a couple numbers. Once we have a couple numbers, we can get the idea. So this one is for Finest. All right, Finest. Making sure I did it. Yep, Finest Cooks. So we need to see the equation. So I'm going to do it. What happens if I have not taken any lessons? What if I've taken 2 lessons? And what if I've taken 4 lessons? So just give me an idea so I can draw a very straight line if I can. And what we're going to do is we're just going to plug it into our equation. So we're going to go 60 plus 20 times whatever our x is. So our first one, our x is 0. So we're going to go 60 plus 20 times 0. 20 times 0 we know is 0, plus 60 is 60. And definitely use your calculator if you need to. If you're using your phone, you have to go a little bit backwards. So you're going to have to do the 20 times your x and then add the 60 to it. So depending on your calculators. If we're in the classroom, you know our calculators, we write it exactly as we see it. So next we're going to put in if it was 2. So 60 plus 20 times 2. 20 times 2 is 40. 40 plus 60 is 100. Okay, and then we're going to put in for 4. 4 times 20 is 80. 80 plus 60 is 140. Okay, and then we're going to do our professional. So we're going to go X and Y, and it's going to be our professional. Just going to put pro there. And I'm going to pick the same numbers just to make it easier to graph. And when we plug it in, we're going to go 15 plus 35 times whatever our x is. Okay, so we're going to go 35 times 0, which would be 0, plus 15, give me 15. So now I'm going to go 35 times 2 plus the 15. It's going to give me 85. So if I plugged in 2. Now if I plug in 4, 35 times 4 plus the 15, I'm going to get me 155. And now we're going to go ahead and graph it. I want to make sure I can do my numbers. So the lessons, we're going to start with 0 at the bottom. This will be 1, but I'm not going to write 1. I'm going to do it for every other one, just so it's a little bit cleaner. And then I'm going to go, let's see. I'm going to count by 20s. So this would be 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140, 160, 180, and that last one would be 200. And now I'm just going to go back and graph them. So for finest, I'm doing in purple. At 0, I'm going to go up to 60 and put a dot. At 2, it's going to be 100. And at 4, it's 140. Connect the dots. At least this is better than me doing it on the smartboard, because then I always seem to get a little wiggly. Okay, and I'm going to put F for finest. And we're going to do the next one. So 0, it's going to be at 15. So it's not in the middle. It's a little bit above the middle. At 2, it's 85. So this is 60, 80, a little bit above it. And at 4, it's 155. So 140. One above it, 160. So it's going to be about right here. This one's, let's see if I can get it. Closest as I can get. And that's our professional. So if we look, our solution, so remember solution is where do our lines meet? And it's approximate, okay? It is approximate because we're not doing a dot for each number. So, and I'm counting by 20s on the y-axis. If I really wanted to be accurate, I would go by ones, but then my graph would be humongous, and I do not want a humongous graph. So when we do it, I can see it's getting to be about 3, if I said 320. Some of your graphs may be a little bit different. Now, we're going to check our work because graphing is not the most accurate. We could get a little wiggle room. So we're going to use either substitution or elimination. Elimination, remember, is linear combination. I know Patrick likes to use that one the most, or if you're doing it in a different class. It's the same word. So elimination is when you have two equations. Elimination is when you have something x plus y equals some number. Substitution is when at least one of them is in slope-intercept form. And you have some numbers in here. So since our equations are both in the slope-intercept form, I'm going to use substitution this time. Substitution, and what we're going to do is have one equation equal the other. Now let me go back up for just a second. And remember my little shortcut here. Oh, let me get a different color so it doesn't match it up. So what we're going to do is, since they're both equal to y, we circle one equation. It equals y, so we're going to plug it into that y. So instead of yp, I'm going to put 60 plus 20x equals 15 plus 35x. A little bit darker now. So I'm going to go 60 plus 20x equals 15 plus 35x. And we're setting them equal to each other so we can find out when they equal the same number. So when are these two companies the exact same price? And I want you guys to go ahead and solve this. Now, easiest way to do it, I always like to move the x's first. I like to move the smallest one because I don't like dealing with negative numbers. And I know my students have problems with negative numbers at some point. So let's just get rid of it. 20 minus 20 crosses off. Plus 20 minus 30, 20 minus 35 minus 20, I'm getting tongue-tied today, is x. Subtract it. Add, subtract, so now we're down to a two-step problem. We get 45 equals 15x. Divide by 15. Our x equals 3. And then we want to plug it back into one of our equations. And you know me, I like to try the easiest equations. I think 20s and 60s, because they're by 10s, much easier than going by 5s, 15, and 35. So I'm going to go y equals 60 plus 20 times 3. We know 60. 20 times 3 is 60. And we do find it is the exact same. So our graph was accurate. Now, explaining, the next one, it says, explain which cooking membership is less expensive in terms of number of classes. And that's much easier to look at using our graph. So you guys do this all the time when you're comparing phone plans, which one is the cheaper one? When you're talking about going to the gym, which gym membership might be a little bit cheaper for you? So for this one, if we look at our graph, this one is a lot less expensive. So our our professional is a lot less expensive because it's under our other equation. But it's less expensive until we reach 3 lessons. At the 3 lessons, they both equal the same amount. So if you took 3 lessons from either company, you're going to have to pay $120. That's what this means over here. So if you're going to do less than 3 classes, we definitely want to choose the professional, because think about it. At 0 classes, you're only paying $15. Here, you're paying $60. 2 classes is $85, but here, 2 classes is $100. But after that meeting point, the finest becomes cheaper because it's at the lower. So if you're going to do more than 3 classes, 4 classes, it's only $140 at finest. But here, it's $15 more at professional, okay? So it all depends on how many classes you want to take. So if I did this, I would say if you're going to take less than 3 classes, go for the professional. If you're going to take more than 3 classes, go with finest. And let's go ahead and write that. So which one is less expensive in number of classes? If you take, there we go, take less than 3 classes, go with the professional. And I'm just going to abbreviate it. If you take more than 3 classes, running out of room. Come on. Doesn't. Oh. You take more. Goodness. Sorry about that. Oh, you take. I don't know why it erased this time. You take more than 3 classes. Hey, you know, technology, you have problems all the time. If you take more than 3 classes, go with finest. All right. Hopefully, guys, that helped you and you guys practice this. Okay. Good luck with all of this and we will get it done.